Zach McCrite here, Kurt, and thanks for coming on with us again. Can you give us a national perspective on the trade that went down this week that included the Thunder?
Well, I think for the Thunder, it's, a lot of people, it depends on how much you like Dion Waiters. A lot of people are higher on him and his, maybe, this might be the kind of situation where a new culture is what the guy needed. Sometimes you just need that change of scenery. You bring him in, you get potential. Look, I think the feeling is once they really start to get everybody healthy and string some things together, that you're going to put together a bunch of wins, you'll make the playoffs, and you'll be the most dangerous, 7 or 8 seed or whatever it ends up being in the history of the NBA. But to really advance, you really kind of want that third scorer. Reggie Jackson has done that in stretches, but Waiters could be that guy. He's also, he's been a head case. He's been a problem. He's been an issue in Cleveland, largely because he thought he was better than Dion Waiters, and they just liked Kyrie Irving, and they just thought he was playing favorites. He's not that good. But I think I think this is a chance for him to kind of, change the narrative, for lack of a better way of phrasing it. It's his chance to kind of flip things around and really change how people perceive him. If he plays within the system and does things here, he boosts himself up, and obviously the Thunder get a big win. So it's a little bit of a gamble, but you're so loaded at the wing that even if it doesn't pan out, you're fine.
Well, and that's kind of where I wanted to head next. The Thunder are so loaded at the wing. I'm almost of the ilk that think that this is just part one of what appears to be a two-part move. Do you perceive that to be the case at all?
Very, very, very possibly. I think that
who would be the guy? Who do you think?
It depends on what you're trying to get. It would be nice to add some. Would you want to add some depth up front with someone like Brandon Wright, who's available? Are you looking? Where do you think they need to add depth? And there should be guys available. And look, if you've got solid wing guys, you're not going to get a superstar, but you can get solid depth that can really help you come the playoffs. Somebody who can come in and contribute. They should be able to find. Like you said, the East. There's teams in the East that are dumping. New York's dumping. Boston's. Jeff Green's out there. I don't know that you're going to get him back, but Wright's out there. Just a lot of teams are looking to move guys. So
yeah, I guess I was. I didn't. And gosh, I bet you get that sort of question all the time. I didn't mean to ask you like who can the Thunder get? Like I know that happens all the time, but I was kind of meaning more in terms of players here that are on the way out. In other words, I'll ask it to you this way: how did this trade in your eyes affect the chances of Reggie Jackson staying here?
I don't think that much. I think unless they start playing, if Waiters ends up playing a lot, and like I said, he does have that culture change. He does live up to the hype that came with him when he was drafted in front of Damian Lillard and some other guys. If he comes anywhere near that, well then, you have insurance. If Reggie Jackson's not there and he wants to go start somewhere, but, it's less of a hit, but I don't know that they're trying to give up on Jackson in the least. You guys have groomed Jackson. You'd like to keep him. Obviously, it's like he wants to start and he wants some money, but I don't know that those things are mutually exclusive with him staying in Oklahoma City. I think that in today's NBA, these guys want to be. Money's number one, as it is with you and me and pretty much everyone listening. Like we're going to go where we get paid. But number two is where can I win? Where can I get the exposure from winning? It's why Kevin Love's in Cleveland. It's not because he loves the city of Cleveland. It's going where you're going to get exposure and can win. And I think Reggie Jackson realizes that another contract in Oklahoma City can help him along those lines.
By the way, before I move on from this trade, surely I wasn't the only guy who just found it magical and glorious and hilarious that LeBron James, the de facto GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers, decided that Dion Waiters wasn't quite for him, but J.R. Smith was?
They actually have a relationship going back to high school. J.R. Smith used to work out with LeBron back before they were drafted. So they have a friendship, but yeah, look, you know what? J.R. Smith is going to come into that situation. What he has done is accept the sixth-man role in a way Waiters wasn't comfortable doing, at least things had spiraled. It was a bad situation for him in Cleveland. People in the locker room weren't thrilled with him. Management wasn't thrilled with him. He gets a fresh start. But J.R. Smith's accepted that role, and he's kind of been that guy. He's done that on a big stage before, so I think that they see that as a slightly more mature, I don't know if more mature is the word I'm looking for with J.R. Smith, but a guy at least on the court who's willing to do the same things.
Kurt Helin with us, ProBasketballTalk.com, a part of the NBC Sports Network, and he joins us in the Little Caesars Hot and Ready hotline. All right, and I'm sure, I know you were on, with us a lot last year as well, as part of, the NBC Sports family, and so I'm guessing that you got this question last year when you came on in this market, and I'm going to, I guess it's time again. It's a yearly thing around here, but after the 2 blowout losses recently for the Thunder, and they have been, it's the worst 2-game stretch I know I've seen with Thunder basketball as a whole when they've been whole. But now come the Scott Brooks is on the hot seat things again, and I guess just if nothing more than a recap that you've given in previous years when you've been on with us, the national perception of Scott Brooks as a coach is what?
Good, not great, solid. Look, he's developed a relationship there, but he is not an X's and O's guru. He's got guys who will play for him, the guys who like him, and there's 2 parts to being an NBA coach. Part is the motivation and getting guys to buy into the system. The questions around David Blatt in Cleveland kind of questions. That's not Scott Brooks' question, but there's a lot of questions of are they running too simplistic stuff? I think they're not this year. I think that's improved. But are they too simplistic? Are they too easy to defend, even with those great stars?
Well, which one's more important?
I don't. You know what? You've got to be great at one of them. Phil Jackson wasn't great at X's and O's. He just brought in Tex Winter, and then was obviously the master at the other side of it. On the flip side, in Dallas, you've got Rick Carlisle, who can be a bit gruff. He's not a bad guy, but he can be a bit gruff. But with all due respect to that coach in San Antonio with the beard, Carlisle's probably the best X's and O's coach in the NBA. You've got to. I don't know if Brooks. We'll see what they can do. I honestly think because of Durant, and you've probably discussed this as well, with Durant's potential pending free agency, and I still think keeping him is the most likely outcome. But with that looming, if they're not winning this year, then they have to think about it. If they get bounced early again, and even though it's injuries in the West and everything else, it's something they have to consider. Is there another coach who is capable of just taking this team up a notch and taking them one more step? Because obviously you're close. You've been to the finals. Frankly, last year with everything, once Ibaka got back, you pretty much played San Antonio even in that series. You just were in a hole. I think that there's a feeling like could a coach be the X factor that lifts them up? I think that there's a lot of people around the league who think that might be the case.
Kurt Helin with us, ProBasketballTalk.com on the Little Caesars Hot and Ready hotline on 107.7 The Franchise. Let's do a little bit of other NBA stuff. Is Steve Kerr just in the right place at the right time, or is there a real tangible difference with this team between this year and last year, other than him, that we're missing?
No, you know what? A little from column A and B. He is. We talked about lifting a team up that extra notch. That's what he's done in Golden State. Smartest move he's made, and he's praised Mark Jackson for this, was not messing with the defense. Like they were a top 3 defensive team last year. People didn't realize it. Now they are they've been, especially with Bogut healthy, they've been the best defensive team in the NBA statistically. He didn't mess with that end. He just kept things working the way they were. But he's put guys in better positions. And I think, look, think about where he played. He played for Popovich, who is the master of putting guys in proper positions. Played for Phil Jackson, who, you can criticize him as a coach if you want, but nobody was better at taking good teams and making them great, of elevating them in the locker room. Just little things are, look, Harrison Barnes last year. Harrison Barnes, Mark Jackson said, I'm going to give you the ball, you're going to isolate you on the wing, and you're going to lead my second unit in offense. You're going to be the 6th man. That's not what Barnes does. He doesn't isolate and blow you off. He works best off the ball and catch and shoot stuff. Steve Kerr comes in and says, hey, we're going to move you to the starting lineup. You're going to work off the ball. You're going to do all these things that you're really good at. You're going to play to your strengths, and he's done that with a few guys, Draymond Green, obviously, and some others. Just getting guys to play to their strengths elevated this team.
Where would the Hawks fit in the Western Conference?
That's a really interesting question. They're in the playoff mix. Let me put it this way. They're legit. And if you've watched them go through the West right now, I mean, they beat Memphis, they've beaten Portland, they've beaten Clippers, they've just beaten everybody.
And they have no real signature player. I mean, but Al Horford, I mean, what do they got? I mean,
Jeff Teague, I think, deserves credit for playing at an all-star level, and Millsap, was an all-star last year, and he's playing great. But talk about a team that's Spursian. And obviously, I mean, Mike Budenholzer's probably the coach of the year right now.
Baby Pop.
And he is got them playing that style of ball, that selfless. They've got the right mentality in there. To me, they look. The West is so brutal. I'm not like, hey, they would win the West. No, but they'd be in the middle of that mix with everybody else. I think I was slow to come along to them, but they're legit. I've watched them a couple times now and in person, and look, that's a real team, man. That team can play, if they're playing like this, possibly with anybody. It will be interesting come the playoffs and a crunch time late in the game. Those are the moments you like having Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrooks and LeBron Jameses and on down the line. They don't have that guy, and will it come back to bite them? We'll see, but man, that's a really good team.
10-4. All right, buddy. Good talking to you.
Thanks for having me on, man.